Hey yo, what's good though? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So at the time of this recording, we just recently wrapped up Splatoon 3's final Splatfest, a major final event that usually happens at the life cycle of every Splatoon game, at least so far. And I just kind of wanted to chit chat, reminisce, and just think back on Splatoon 3 because I was kind of missing it for a couple of months there. And it was always so weird because I could never really bring myself to go back into the game as often as I used to. There was a point in time, right, where I was playing Splatoon very consistently. Back on the Wii U, when it first released, Splatoon 1, I was playing that at least every other day or maybe at least once a week, even when it was kind of having a little bit of a drop off. I was still having a lot of fun with it, getting my ranks up, getting all my stuff down and all that, right? And then Splatoon 2 came around on Switch, and you know, again, I just brought this up in a recent video, in my recent ARMS video. I was talking about how ARMS was such a fun, competitive little game to sink my teeth into during the first year of the Nintendo Switch, and then a month passed, and then Splatoon 2 dropped, and that was kind of it for me and a lot of my friends. Once they introduced Ranked, we were going crazy. We were always consistently playing a little bit of Salmon Run until we finally got sick of it because it got really repetitive, and then eventually they dropped the Octo expansion, which we had been asking for something like that for years. Not only did it touch up on some like extremely heavy lore regarding the world of Splatoon, it also just made for a really cool story mode. Like, it made for a really fun little story and fun gameplay, and it introduced a playable Octoling, something that we had been asking for years after the original release of Splatoon 1 on Wii U, because we saw that the Octolings actually had a really sick design, and we were like, they should be playable. They look like a lot of fun to just have as a customizable option in Splatoon. And so after that DLC dropped, we were set. Like, that DLC was, I think, possibly one of the best things that they ever introduced in Splatoon history, and that includes all of the stuff that they introduced in Splatoon 3. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Splatoon 3 a lot, but that Octo expansion just changed up so much. It was just a real game changer, and it just like re-lifed Splatoon 2, right? Now, the last thing that I would have ever expected was another sequel for Splatoon on the exact same console within a couple of years, right? I mean, we got Splatoon 3, what, 2-3 years ago now, something like that? I don't even know. But regardless, Splatoon 2 came out on the Switch in 2017. That was like, at this point, 7 years ago, right? That's a pretty lengthy amount of time, but considering the fact that they were gearing up for a lot of that time for the Switch 2, it's truly shocking to me that they didn't just wait to put Splatoon 3 on the Switch 2 as opposed to giving us another Splatoon game, which I just didn't, I don't know, I just didn't know what to think about that. And, you know, regardless, obviously, I was very excited. Me and my buddies were like, yeah, we're going to be locking in with that. We're going to be playing Salmon Run. We're going to hit up that story mode. We're going to knock that sucker out the park. We know it's going to have a phenomenal DLC sometime down the line, and it's going to be a great time. And, you know, it definitely did have all of those things present. We had Salmon Run again with some new cool updates and stuff like that here and there, with some new bosses, new challenges, and things like that. That was really nice to indulge in. We got, of course, you know, the main modes and Ranked with some new maps. I think we got a new mode. It's been a very long time since I've like truly researched the updates and things like that we got over the years. Of course, we got the new group members with Fry and Big Man and the other one, I'm blanking. I just looked at it yesterday, but either way, that just kind of goes to show I feel kind of bad, right? Because again, you know, I really did miss Splatoon, and I enjoy its presence, and I'm glad it's a very successful and fun and good IP, and I hope it's, you know, running for a long time. The only thing about it is, though, is that Splatoon 3, while I do love it for what it is, I do feel like we were missing things. Like, there's just so many things that I just wish, no, not necessarily so many things. I just don't feel like it brought enough new things to the table to justify an entire sequel. Does that make sense? Now, that might be me being greedy. Maybe I'm just, you know, what's the word I'm looking for here, pampered, I guess, because of all of the stuff that they introduced from Splatoon 1 versus Splatoon 2. The jump from 2 to 3 just wasn't as significant or major to me. I felt myself fall off of Splatoon 3 a lot faster than I ever did 1 or 2. And that was really strange to me because I do love this series. I do love Splatoon, but I don't know. I didn't end up playing Splatoon 3 nearly as long as I thought I would. Once it dropped, you know, I was in there. I was down. I was getting dirty, whatever. But after maybe only a month or two of some decent consistent play, that was it for me. And I don't know what it is about that. Like, is it because I'm older now? Maybe it's because I'm grown, you know? Splatoon 2 came out when I was still in high school. So, you know, now that it's just so much longer later, like, maybe I just didn't feel the same need to, like, grind it out and just dedicate all that extra time to something like Splatoon 2, to Splatoon 3. I'm not exactly sure what it was about 3 that just didn't hook me as hard, but I don't know. Again, don't get it twisted. I still enjoy it very much for what it is. I really do appreciate Splatoon 3. I'm glad they gave it to us at all because they did not need to do that. They did not need to give us a brand new story. They didn't need to delve into any more lore. They didn't need to give us an entirely new group that's really fun. They didn't need to develop any more Splatfest for us to, you know, indulge in for events and things like that on a consistent, like, couple month basis. They didn't need to give us new weapons and new gear to upgrade. And they especially, if they didn't want to, give us an entirely brand new DLC that plays out like a roguelike, which is really cool in concept. I really had a lot of fun with that DLC. It was really, really cool. I do feel like, again, Octo Expansion just outclasses it in pretty much every way, shape, and form. The only thing it has above that is kind of replayability, but that replayability is very monotonous. And this is coming from somebody that enjoys grinding in video games. I love grindy aspects when need be. Like, if I figure out, oh, okay, this is what I need to do to get stronger and up my stuff so I can, you know, be prepared for whatever comes next, I'm gonna do it. I'm playing through the Answer episode, I guess, for Persona 3 Reloaded right now, and I've just been doing nothing but grinding. So don't get it twisted. I like grindy aspects, and I like roguelikes too, right? But I don't know. It just, again, it could be maybe because I'm just older and I don't feel as attached as I thought I was with this franchise. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. It just wasn't as strong to me. Right? Now, don't get it twisted. I still enjoyed the story for what it was as well. Getting to know Pearl and Marina through getting more info on Pearl and Marina is always an absolute blessing. I love those two with all my heart. I love them. I love Callie and Marie. All of them. They're just, they're so precious. I love these characters so much. They're so much fun. And, you know, they absolutely could have gone to a more, like, delved a little more into more serious, you know, aspects and, you know, deeper lore and things like that, whether it be about some of these characters, whether it be about more of the Octolings, more about the history of the world. But, you know, they decided to keep it light, do what they had to do. You know, they had this big bad. Once he was done, we were good. And that's that, you know. And I don't know, maybe I was just a little unsatisfied with the ending of it. I don't know, maybe it was a little too easy. It's hard to say, right? It's funny that I'm recording this now. The other day, you know, after deciding to do a lot, you know, of different projects, I had to get rid of a lot of footage. And one of the things that I had ultimately decided to delete to make space for my hard drive is the side, or the DLC, the side order DLC for Splatoon 3, which sucks because I had my entire playthrough on there and I was always planning to make a video on it when it was first coming out. Then it dropped, I recorded everything. I'm like, okay, great, I'll get this video out at some point or another. And I just never did. It just never came to light for whatever reason. And that's just strange that I just never really sat down with it. And at some point it was just too late. However, I will say, it took them an absurd amount of time to get side order out. Like, by the time they had, like, announced side order, Splatoon was the last thing on my mind. I was not even thinking about Splatoon, and they're like, hey, DLC. I'm like, oh god, that game exists. I forgot we even had Splatoon 3 at that point. They announced it and we didn't even get it for like what, it felt like another year or something like that. It felt like a long time in between when they first announced it and when we actually got it. Like, it felt like it took so long, which is absurd for a DLC that had been in development for as long as it was. I mean, granted, I'm glad they took their time. I'm glad they polished it up. It runs well, it feels good, and it was a very, high quality series of challenges that were really, really fun. But it is still always going to be super strange to me that it took as long as it did to get out, because I feel like at the very least, if it came out a little bit sooner, like after it was announced, I feel like I wouldn't have just considered it as much of an afterthought as I did by the time we actually got it. And it could have been a lot of things, there could have been a lot of factors. Maybe there was some other games that I wanted to play. I don't know. I didn't really feel like researching for this video too heavily because I'm late on making any kind of Splatoon video as is, to the point where I don't even have the DLC stuff anymore for footage. This is just me playing after months of just complete neglect for this game, which again, don't get me wrong, I feel bad about. Okay, so I guess I wish Splatoon 3 had more. I enjoy it for what it is, but it just did not feel like a big enough leap in between the second game to justify, a full game like they did. And, I don't know, maybe I'm just being dramatic about it, but I know for certain, I have no absolute doubt in my mind of two things. That one, there is going to be a Splatoon 4, and that it's going to be on Switch 2. There's no doubt in my mind that such a successful series of a newer IP for Nintendo is not going to continue on the Switch 2. That's going to be a massive thing. It's already been a good couple of years since Splatoon 3 now, and the DLC has already been out for the better part of a year or so, and they just wrapped up the Splatfest. And usually when they wrap up a Splatfest, that usually means the end of consistent updates for Splatoon 2, other than, keeping the service alive to play online. Other than that, though, we're probably not going to see much more of Splatoon 3 anywhere else, which is fine. It did its job. People had fun with it. It was very cute. I do wish it's funny, I fully intended to play the Splatfest this past weekend, and I never got around to it. I completely missed the entire Splatfest again. I feel so guilty. I have not participated in not even a single Splatfest throughout the entirety of Splatoon 3. That's crazy. How did that how have I not participated in one? That's ridiculous. So, regardless, I just hope that by the time we get around to Splatoon 4, that it has a much bigger jump in between what kind of content they introduce, what kind of, things that we're going to be able to do, things we're going to be able to explore, how we approach the story mode or the campaign or whatever, just more. I hope there's a much bigger leap. Again, not that Splatoon 3 is bad in any way, shape, or form. By nature, it's not bad because it's kind of piggybacking off of Splatoon 2 with what was already there, just adding little bits and pieces to improve on what was already there. So don't get me wrong, Splatoon 3 is the best and definitive way to play Splatoon this day and age, but it still could have had a little bit more, I think. And it just sucks that there wasn't, but that is what it is. I guess this is kind of just my way of saying thank you, Splatoon 3, for being what you are, being what you were, and for giving us an epic little finale that I completely missed. So that's my fault, not yours. But regardless, I hope it was a good time for everybody. I certainly enjoyed the time that I did spend with it, regardless of the fact that it was a little on the minimal side in comparison to a lot of others. But I think that's okay for now. Some games just won't mesh as well as you want them to, and that's gonna be okay sometimes, I still enjoy Splatoon, and I still enjoy Splatoon 3 for what it is. I'll still pick it up every now and again to play online and things like that, probably up until at least Splatoon 4, where I will probably invest a little bit more time into it because I still enjoy the lore, the characters, and just that general world. There's still a lot that I'm more than willing to invest my time into, and I would really like to see what they come up with next. Again, hopefully by the time we get around to the Switch 2, there will be a lot of new mechanics and, more interesting weapons even. I do like a lot of the weapons that they introduced, but I feel like, you know, they're definitely going to have to step up a lot more to really invigorate a lot of people to justify buying another new Splatoon game. So hopefully they have a lot of real cool introductions and things like that in the next game that really put my ass in high gear to invest me in Splatoon 4 even more. But for now, y'all did a good job. Y'all took good care of this game for the last couple of years that you have, and I appreciate that you did that, and I'm very glad that you did that. I'm very happy to see that this game is still thriving, still doing its thing, and that people are still making plenty of good memories and having a lot of good times and fun with Splatoon as a franchise, and this is the kind of thing that I want to see regardless of if I'm there for it or not. I'm very happy for what Splatoon is, and I can't wait to see its future, because I will still be around. It's not like I'm leaving Splatoon behind or anything like that. This is not me saying I hate it. This is not me saying like, thanks a lot, and I'm leaving or anything. I'm not walking out. I'm not getting the milk or nothing. I'm still around. But, you know, this is, you know, I am thankful for Splatoon 3, and I hope to see more going forward. So, I guess we'll have to play that one by ear. Either way, I think that wraps it up for this one. Sorry if this one felt a little bit more on the aimless side. This is just essentially wrapping up my thoughts on Splatoon because it just ended recently. So I just kind of wanted to put a little something out there because, hey, you know, it's been in the back of my mind for the last couple of days, and I do feel really guilty about missing the Splatfest. So I at least wanted to put some thoughts out there before moving on to the future with Splatoon. So, you know, this is just my way of doing that. But regardless, I would like to hear what you guys are thinking in the comment section below. Did you guys enjoy your time with Splatoon 3? Was it awesome? Was it epic? Am I insane for not dedicating more time into it? And it was just an awesome, incredible, just untouchable game that will go down in history? Or were you not as attached to it? Was this not really the game for you? Or have you never been a Splatoon fan? Have you been a Splatoon fan up to this point and this just wasn't something that you were invested in like that? Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I am always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock. So clearly, I'm going to go ahead and do just so. I would like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gonzo. Thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.